This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from March 6th to March 8th of 2026. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And welcome to the US Men's National Team Abroad series, where every single Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend. Now listen, not this week, but next week, we have the US Men's National Team March Camp roster, which is literally the last roster before the official World Cup one. It's a very important one, right? I don't have to further expand upon it. Now, this week, probably on Wednesday or Thursday, we will release a March Camp roster prediction video. A few players will be left out because they will be snubbed. A few players will be left out because they're injured. Some of them we'll talk about in this video because a lot happened this weekend. This is actually a very good USMNT Abroad episode. It's been a while since so much stuff happened, so you're going to want to stick around. Okay, now make sure to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel, which you most certainly are. And put a comment in the comment section down below just to push us or boost us in the YouTube algorithm. With that said, let's roll the intro and start the episode. All right, as always, we start with the Americans in the Serie A, in the Italian league. The first one is usually Christian Pulisic from Milan, but we're going to leave Pulisic as the last player that we cover in the Italian league. Why don't we start with Yunus Musa from Atalanta? And on Saturday, Musa finally started for Atalanta during their 2-2 draw with Udinese. Now, he definitely earned this start after he scored off the bench for 2 consecutive games. He was playing well, but unfortunately, this didn't go well. Yes, this start was, I wouldn't call it a disaster, but it was bad. I mean, he had a few bad giveaways, he looked kind of lost at times, and Musa was quite poor in the first half. And he got subbed out at halftime, which very often is not a good look. Will he continue to get minutes off the bench? Probably. He scored for 2 consecutive games. Will he get another start? Unlikely in the short term. And that's Yunus Musa. He is definitely talented, but extremely inconsistent. And unfortunately, his inconsistencies are more towards the downside. He has more bad performances than good ones, unfortunately. Next up, we have Weston McKennie from Juventus. And on Saturday, McKennie started and played the full 90 minutes for Juve during their 4-0 win over Pisa. Okay, I didn't really watch Weston McKennie this weekend, but I actually heard he played well. He helped Juventus get this 4-0 win, and he played as a right wing back. He has played as a left wing back, right wing back, central midfielder, central attacking midfielder, striker. He's played multiple positions this season. He's all over the place. And that is why the streets, yes, the streets, they call him the American James Milner. And the rumors are that his favorite book is the Kama Sutra. Still in Italy, before we talk about Christian Pulisic, we have Ben Cremaschi from Parma. And on Sunday, Cremaschi started. Yes, you heard that right. For the very first time, he started for Parma in the Serie A. And he actually played the entire game during their 0-0 draw with Fiorentina. Now listen, I wasn't expecting him to play, so I didn't watch it from the get-go, and I caught moments of this game. I probably watched a solid 20 to 30 minutes, and the minutes that I watched, he was fine. I thought he was a decent player. Ben Cremaschi defended well. He seemed to be playing as a wide midfielder down the right side. Not really a winger, more of a right midfielder. He didn't really offer much going forward for the minutes that I watched, but he seemed to be an overall net positive for the role that he was given. He defended very well. I think that was the primary role when he was playing as a right midfielder. And in terms of his physical attributes, he did very well in that sense, which to me was a surprise. I thought he could possibly look out of his depth if he got a start, and he got a start, and he was fine. So, good work from Ben Cremaschi. All right, now we have Christian Pulisic from Milan. And on Sunday, Pulisic started and played 84 minutes for Milan during their 1-0 win over Inter. So Milan defeated Inter in the Milan derby. Yet, they still sit in second place, 7 points behind Inter, so they're not going to win the Scudetto. The good news here is that they very likely will qualify for the Champions League. But how did Pulisic do? You know what? I thought this was probably his best game for Milan in 2026. Now, mind you, 2026 hasn't been great for Christian Pulisic, and he still has no goal contributions, but I thought he was quite good in this game. He didn't get as many touches as I would want him to get, but he looked sharp on the ball. He was blowing by defenders every single time that he tried. His dribbling was great. He set up his teammates a few times and could have easily ended this game with an assist if perhaps Rafael Leão could finish. It was, in fact, a very good performance from Christian Pulisic. Don't worry. He's saving all those goals and assists for the World Cup. Next up, we have the Americans that play in England in the English Premier League, but there were no Premier League games this weekend. They had the FA Cup. So Chris Richards and Crystal Palace, they didn't play. There's nothing to talk about there. Anthony Robinson was available for Fulham, but he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes. They lost to Southampton. It looks like A-Rob is still not 100% fit. He's been dealing with an ankle problem lately. Should I be concerned? Not really. We're still far from the World Cup, and it's not his knee, the one he had surgery. It's probably just a minor injury, and he should be back fully fit very soon, so I'm not concerned about that. As for Tyler Adams, Bournemouth also didn't play this weekend, so nothing to talk about there. And last but not least, we have Brendan Aronson from Leeds. And look, Leeds played. They defeated Norwich with quite some ease, and Brendan Aronson stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes, mainly because they were resting him, right? He is, in fact, a starter for Leeds, but they rested him because, one, it's the FA Cup. The Premier League is more important. Two, it's Norwich. They kind of suck, and they had a 3-0 lead. There was no reason to play Brendan Aronson. Now, before we continue and talk about the Americans in the Bundesliga, make sure to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. Do it. Just do it right now. And a quick word from our sponsor, PrizePicks. We'll be back very soon with the Americans in Germany. Don't go anywhere. Shoot your shot on PrizePicks and get $50 instantly in lineups once you play your first $5. That is right. PrizePicks is giving you $50 in lineups once you play your first $5. And if you're into basketball, every dunk, every dime, and every board will become much more exciting. So don't miss out on that. Personally, I like playing fantasy sports for basketball and soccer. Those are two sports I very much enjoy watching, and this adds an extra excitement to the game. When I do play fantasy sports or have my own lineups, I get to hate watch players or root for players. Obviously, hate watching is much more fun, but do whatever you want. And PrizePicks is pretty easy to play. You choose 2 to 6 player projections for any sports. You then submit the lineup and check the entry fee and the payout. The payout is very easy, by the way. You then get matched into a group where you get real money by topping that group or getting your picks right to win the minimum guarantee. You can also play PrizePicks for free because they do have a free-to-play jackpot, which you can play, as I said, for free. And PrizePicks is available in all 50 states. So download the PrizePicks app today and use the promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. Once again, that is the promo code CLNS at the PrizePicks app. The link is in the description. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. We're back. Hopefully you didn't go anywhere, or if you did, maybe you went to the bathroom real quick. I really hope you washed your hands. Always wash your hands when you go to the bathroom. Now let's talk about the Americans in the Bundesliga, the first one being Malik Tillman from Bayer Leverkusen. And on Saturday, Tillman came back from his ankle injury and he started off the bench and was subbed in the 66th minute for Leverkusen during their 3-3 draw with Freiburg. Okay, so 3-3 draw, he played like 30 minutes or so, a little bit less than 30 minutes, and in my opinion, he wasn't good. He was meh at best, like it wasn't terrible, but he's back from injury right on time for the USMNT camp, so that's good news. And just a little secret between us, I told you to wash your hands when you go to the bathroom. I don't do that like half of the time. The next player we would have talked about would have been Cole Campbell from Hoffenheim, but he stayed on the bench for them the full 90 minutes. The young American winger, the U20 American winger, so I got nothing to say there. So let's move on from Cole Campbell and talk about Joe Scally and Gio Reyna from Borussia Mönchengladbach. And on Friday, Joe Scally started and played the full 90 minutes for Gladbach during their 4-1 loss to Bayern. Losing 4-1 to Bayern in Germany is far more common than people think. Actually, it's not far more common than people think. Everyone thinks it's common. So losing 4-1 to Bayern in Germany is pretty damn normal. But that's not to say that's a good result, right? But Gio Reyna, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes, so nothing is new there. What's crazy is that they were down like 3-0 and playing man down with 30 minutes left, and he still couldn't even get like 5 to 10 minutes off the bench. I don't know, it's whatever at this point. And you guys know I'm a massive Gio Reyna fan, but I am legit tired of talking about Gio Reyna. I hope he goes to the World Cup, and I hope he does great in the World Cup, but I wouldn't be surprised if Gio Reyna ends up in MLS either this summer or in the summer of 2027. It very likely will happen. Very talented player. In terms of pure talent, one of the best America has ever had. But as a player himself, it hasn't gone his way for multiple reasons. Now let's talk about Noah Kai Banks from Augsburg. And on Saturday, Noah Kai Banks started and played 84 minutes for Augsburg during their 2-1 loss to Leipzig. Look, it wasn't really a good game from Banks. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't a good game. I'm just going to be honest here, which is fine. He's young. He will be inconsistent, right? He's 19. I'm not going to get into details. The good thing is, well, one, it was against a very good opponent. I mean, Leipzig is incredible. And two, the other two center backs cost them the game, okay? One of them wasted a penalty kick, and the other one scored an own goal. So Noah Kai Banks is still going to be a starter for them, and games like this happen. By the way, the player from Leipzig, Diamande, that scored the first goal for Leipzig in this game. Incredible player, by the way. 2 years ago, he was playing in the 4th division of soccer in the United States. He was playing in UPSL, right? He was in the DME Academy playing high school soccer and in UPSL. And I'm not going to get into details. No team in MLS, no team in Florida, Orlando, Miami, or even USL, right? Like the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Apparently, no one scouted him or signed him. He eventually went to La Liga, right? Like 18 months ago. Did well enough that Leipzig signed him, and now he's one of the best forwards in the Bundesliga. So we had this guy playing in UPSL, 4th Division of the United States, like 2 years ago. Could you imagine how many talented players never get an opportunity in this country or never get scouted? It's freaking insane. It's actually not insane. It's sad. And to a certain extent, pathetic with all the resources we have here, but it's whatever. Next on the list, we have the Americans that play in Spain, in La Liga. The first one being Johnny Cardoso from Atletico Madrid. And we're also going to briefly talk about Pellegrino Materazzo, the coach of Real Sociedad, because Atletico Madrid and Real Sociedad clashed over the weekend. And on Saturday, Johnny Cardoso started off the bench and was subbed in the 61st minute for Atletico Madrid during their 3-2 win over Real Sociedad. So Johnny is a starter. He was just being rested after they had the Copa del Rey midweek semifinals game. They advanced, right? They knocked out Barcelona, which, by the way, Atletico Madrid will face Real Sociedad in the final, led by the American coach, Pellegrino Materazzo. Also, Atletico Madrid plays Tottenham in the Champions League during the midweek. So again, Johnny was being rested, and he is also expected to be in the USMNT camp this March. By the way, Pellegrino Materazzo took over Real Sociedad mid-season. He's been nothing short of incredible. He has a positive record in La Liga since he's taken over, and he has helped them reach the Copa del Rey final. We're going to play against Atletico Madrid, a game that can honestly go either way. Obviously, Atletico Madrid are the favorites, but anything can happen in the Copa del Rey final. Which is funny because when Wilfred Nancy failed taking over Celtic mid-season, there were excuses all over the place about how it's hard to take over a team mid-season and blah, blah, blah. Lyndon Donovan went to defend him, which, by the way, I don't think Wilfred Nancy is a terrible coach. Did very well in MLS. One of the best in MLS, if not the best in MLS. The thing is, MLS has bad coaches. And when he went to Europe, it was quite obviously much tougher and there was more pressure than I guess he could handle. While Pellegrino Materazzo has experience in the Bundesliga, a lot of it, right? Multiple seasons. And he's showing again, good coaches do well. Bad coaches or bad coaches for a certain level do not. Now, that's not to say Wilfred Nancy can't bounce back. He can get another job in Europe, do very well, but it's a fact that he failed for Celtic. He didn't do well, and I'm just trying to say that there's levels. It's funny how the American media landscape doesn't really talk about much when it comes to Pellegrino Materazzo. They mention him occasionally, but there's no hype on this guy. And quite honestly, he's probably the best American coach right now. And in regards to Alex Freeman that plays for Villarreal, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes this week. And his minutes haven't been good, which is quite concerning. We're going to talk about Serginho Dest and how he's injured and he could even miss the World Cup. So we need Weah sharp because Weah can play fullback or wingback. Alex Freeman, Scally even. And Alex Freeman right now, ever since he left Orlando, he's not playing much for Villarreal. But now let's talk about the Americans that play in France, in Liga. The first one being floating Balogun for Monaco. And this guy, he was on fire. And on Friday, Balogun started and played 81 minutes for Monaco during their 3-1 win over PSG. Yes, PSG, the current winners of the UEFA Champions League, the best team in France. And Balogun was decisive in this win. He was crucial. But in those 81 minutes, this dude only had 21 touches. And he only had one shot on goal total. So he wasn't as involved in the game as you would want him to be. Yeah, you heard that right. One shot on goal and only 21 touches. And Balogun still managed to get a goal and an assist. The assist was sorta accidental, but not at the same time. I feel like Balogun, if you watch that play, he was trying to control the ball in the box. And when he noticed his teammate approaching and going for a shot, he just kind of got out of the way. And that is an assist out of instinct, right? Now, the goal he scored was from a strike from long distance, roughly probably like 30 yards out, maybe. That's my guess. With a slight deflection that helped the ball go in. It was a crucial goal because Monaco was up 2-1, but PSG had the momentum in the game. That goal was what got them the win. I think if Balogun doesn't score that, PSG might have been able to tie this game. Now, listen, forwarding Balogun managed to get 3 goals and an assist in 3 games versus PSG, the current Champions League winners. Yes, he played PSG 3 times over the past month, and he got 3 goals and an assist. He has been extremely productive. In my opinion, the US men's national team forward is the best 9 in CONCACAF. Next up, we have Weah and Mackenzie. Weah from Marseille, Weah from Marseille, Mackenzie from Toulouse, because Marseille and Toulouse clashed over the weekend. And on Saturday, Weah started and played the full 90 minutes as a right back for Marseille during their 1-0 win over Toulouse. As for Mark Mackenzie, he started and played the full 90 minutes for Toulouse during this loss. Last but not least, in France, we have Tenor Tessman from Lyon. And on Sunday, Tessman started and played 66 minutes for Lyon during their 1-1 draw with Paris FC. I'm going to be honest here, I didn't watch this game. I missed this game from Tessman this weekend, which I normally do watch Lyon, because it was exactly at the same time as Milan, and I wanted to focus on Christian Pulisic at the Milan derby. Time to go to the Netherlands and talk about the Americans in the Eredivisie, more specifically the ones for PSV, Ricardo Pepi and Dest. We have good news, we have bad news. Let's talk about it. And on Saturday, Dest and Pepi both started for PSV during their 2-1 win over AZ Alkmaar. Okay, so let's get the bad news out of the way. Dest was subbed out around the 57th minute with what looked like a very bad hamstring injury. This is what the coach had to say, okay, right after the game. He landed on the ground after a full sprint and grabbed his hamstring. That's usually not good news. The day after the injury, Serginho Dest made a post on his Instagram where he said, "I'm out for a little while to do what I love the most. But one thing is for sure, this is not the end of the season. I'll do everything in my power to make sure that I'm back as soon as possible on the right timing. Thanks for the messages. I won't let you guys down." This is quite concerning because he made sure to claim that this isn't the end of the season and there's no actual projected return date. PSV did a post the following day, Sunday night, right, when we record this, saying it is still difficult to predict exactly how long Serginho Dest will be sidelined for. The 37-time U.S. international is aiming for a return towards the final phase of the season. And they even talked about the World Cup in that same post right after. And I don't like the smell of this. It smells like dog poo-poo. There's no specific timeline for his recovery. If this is a grade 3 hamstring injury, he could be out for 3 to 6 months. If it's 3 months, he's pretty much done for the World Cup because he'll be coming back in 3 months and Pochettino probably wouldn't call him up. Am I concerned about Dest? Yes. This is the first USMNT player or key player major injury that I'm actually worried about when it comes to the World Cup. There's actually probably a decent probability that Dest won't be back for the World Cup. Now, is that confirmed? Of course not, right? They're trying to get him back by the end of the season. If he returns in early May and gets like a game or two, I think Pochettino does bring him and he should bring him. But right now, we're kind of going to have to take a wait-and-see approach. He's not going to be in the March camp, that's for sure. We'll talk about that in the March camp roster prediction video later this week. But this injury does worry me quite a bit. Now let's talk about the good news, and that is that Pepi started and Pepi delivered. This dude was shooting his shot. No, seriously. The dude had 5 shots in this game. 4 of them were on target, and he only had 26 touches. So he was averaging one shot on goal, or one shot at least, every 5 touches that he had. And one finally went in late in the game to give PSV the 2-1 lead in the win. So Pepi essentially won the game for PSV. Perisic set him up with his head, and Pepi hit a nice strike from close range to score for PSV. I mean, we know Pepi can get the job done in the Eredivisie. And he's very likely going to leave PSV this summer, and obviously the rumors are that he will head to the Premier League, Fulham being the front runners. Last but not least, we have the Americans that play in England in the EFL Championship. The first one being Haji Wright from Coventry. And on Saturday, Haji Wright started and played 77 minutes for Coventry, helping them get a 2-0 win over Bristol City. And Haji scored his 16th goal in the EFL Championship season. Coventry leads the league, and they have 10 more games to go. They would only not make it to the Premier League or get promoted directly if they have a complete collapse in this final stretch. So I doubt it. They're probably going to get promoted. Coventry is currently on a 5-game winning streak. And in those 5 games, Haji Wright scored 6 goals. Next, we have Aidan Morris from Middlesbrough. And on Saturday, Aidan Morris started and played the full 90 minutes for Middlesbrough during their 4-0 win over QPR. And he was great on and off the ball. He usually is great off the ball with his work rate, press, and defense. Now, in possession this game, he was fantastic. He should have finished this game with an assist. He also had 105 passes attempt, which is a lot, and he completed 101 of those 105, which is incredible. He was very good, and Middlesbrough isn't a lock to get promoted like Coventry, but they currently sit in second place, and they have pretty high odds of making it to the Premier League next season as well. Last but not least, we have Ajiman from Derby County. And on Saturday, Ajiman started and played 77 minutes for Derby during their 2-1 win over Sheffield Wednesday. Ajiman was in good form, but right now he hasn't gotten a single goal contribution over the past 4 games. Okay, in my USMNT Player of the Weekend, we had a few good performances, right? Pulisic was good, Balogun was good. Who else did I say that was good? Well, now I can't remember. Pepi scored a game winner, Haji Wright. But my Player of the Weekend has to be Balogun, right? 2 goal contributions against PSG. Definitely the toughest team out of any team that anyone played this weekend, even though Pulisic also played well against Inter, but he didn't get any goal contributions. Balogun pretty much won the game for Monaco. To me, Balogun is the USMNT Player of the Weekend. I think he was also the Player of the Weekend in the previous weekend. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go and a comment in the comment section down below to rig the YouTube algorithm. I'll see you guys on Wednesday or Thursday when we do the USMNT March Camp roster prediction. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.